Welcome. We're gonna have to? Okay. I think they mean this bell. Okay, welcome. My name is Arana Hagan. I'm the worship associate for this morning and part of the team that's working to bring this service to you wherever you may be. We're an inclusive congregation that welcomes you as you are, inclusive of all your identities, complexities, and situations. We welcome your whole self, even if it isn't fully assembled, because we recognize that we're all a work in progress and that we're all in this together. This service is being posted on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page so that folks can watch it again later. Feel free to share it with your friends. Now, a minute for greeting each other with a wave or a handshake or crossing the aisle. Please stand. Good morning. Please remain standing while we recite our opening affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is sacred, and service is his prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve him kind in fellowship. For these high purposes, do you guide worship. Thank you. Please be seated. Oh, it's now time to light the chalice. I think I may be breaking with tradition here, but the reading for today is from the song Anthem by Leonard Cohen, and it's the chorus. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And now we'll have a story for all ages by Steven Rosas. Steven, I hope I pronounced your name right.
All right. This is A Positive Superhero, Growing Up with HIV by Desiree Thompson. Hi, my name is James. I like running and racing. Most of the time, my friends can't catch me because I'm super fast. When I grow up, I'm going to be a superhero. When I'm a superhero, I will use my speed to save the world and catching bad guys. There's one thing that makes me different than some of my friends. I have a virus in my body called HIV. HIV is a virus that acts like a villain living inside of me. When I was little, my virus grew strong and multiplied and started to take over. This made me really sick and slow. I didn't like how the virus made me feel. To fight off the HIV in my body, I take medicine called antiretroviral drugs, or ARVs. I take my pills every morning at the same time when I eat breakfast. That way, I am energized for the day. My medicine has special powers that keep my HIV under control so that I am not sick anymore. Now, my virus is contained and it can't take over my body. Sometimes I don't like taking my medicine, but my dad reminds me that by taking my pills, the HIV becomes weak so that I can be strong and speedy. This lets me zoom around and look out for bad guys. The bad guy in this picture is just my friend pretending to be a villain. Every few months, I have to get my blood drawn. This is when a nurse takes a sample of my blood to see how much of the virus is inside of my body. The needle poke hurts a little. I have to sit still and be really brave, just like a real superhero. My nurse tells me I'm heroic. After each blood draw, my mom hugs me and tells me that she's proud of me. Along with taking my medicine and having blood drawn, I see a special doctor a few times a year. My doctor tells me how much HIV is living in my body and how well my medicine is working. If there are any problems, he switches my medicine. Managing HIV is not hard. I usually forget I have the virus. Some people are afraid of HIV. They think they might catch my virus and get sick. HIV is not scary. No one can get HIV from being my friend. I was born with HIV. No one would ever know by looking at me because I am healthy and active. I will always have HIV because there is no medicine that wipes out the virus completely. Maybe someday there will be. My mom and dad say I don't have to wait until I'm big to be a superhero. I am already a superhero by fighting my virus every day. And now I thought this would be important to share. This is the author, and I believe her son is the illustrator. And so it says, Desiree Thompson's mission is to educate everyone she meets with the truth of HIV and AIDS. She was exposed to the unfair stigma of living with AIDS or HIV and AIDS during several trips to Ethiopia. She witnessed how HIV has many misconceptions, and those with the disease are often treated unfairly. The need for accurate information to be distributed weighed heavily on her heart. She especially wanted to focus on helping kids understand that living with HIV should not include living with the stigma that surrounds this chronic disease. A resident in a small town of Wisconsin, Miss Thompson is a full-time wife, mother, teacher, homeschooling her children, and truth teller. This is her first published book. It says, write to James. James loves to get positive mail. He regularly connects with other children that are living superheroes just like him. If you want to send him an encouraging note, stop by the author's website, and that's Desiree-Thompson.com. All right. Thank you.
Now it's time for our joys and concerns, sharing joys and concerns. Come forward, state your name, and put a lighted candle in the sand bowl, and I will start. This candle is to send light and love to the whole country.
My name is Melody Pinson, and I'm here to share a concern. I got here too late last week to share, but my mother's sister is 96, and she passed away on July 1st. And her children live on each side of the country, and so they were able to be with her when she passed, and she lives down in Austin. So she passed, but then they couldn't have the funeral because they didn't have the digger to dig through the limestone. And so it took them over a week. So the children had to go back home, and there was no one at the funeral. So when her body was interred, which, you know, made everybody go down again and come back up. But Mother's okay with it. She understands and she knows, and she's back to herself and happy now. And just wanted to let you know. Her sister was 96 and Mother is 98. So, okay.
I'll put this way up here for Eric. I'm Eric the Shorter. I'm lighting a candle of hope today, and that hope is that as many of you as possible can join us this Thursday for John Lewis's birthday, and make good trouble at MLK Park from 5 until 8 this Thursday. Please come.
My name's Eric, and this is a candle of joy, just because it's great to be back here and see everybody again. And this is a candle of remembrance for my friend Pete, who unfortunately died a little over a year ago, helping people in the war zones of Ukraine. Please keep him in your thoughts, and later today at 12:30 I'll be doing a small documentary film and a bit of information in remembrance of him. Thank you.
My name is Wes Phillips. We've lived for the last 50 years in Fritz, Texas, where I worked for Lake Meredith. I worked 34 years with the National Park Service all across the country, from Arizona to Virginia and Florida and back to Texas. I grew up in Wichita Falls, and we now have a house that we bought here in Amarillo, and Steve, who goes here, is our realtor. He's helping us get settled there, and then maybe we can even sell our house and fridge. So it's really a joy being back. I used to be vice president over here.
And I will light one final candle for the joys and concerns not shared, but deeply felt in our hearts.
This song is a collaboration between a Chilean and a Palestinian artist, both of whom I admire very much, and it was really cool to see them work together. The song was done about 12 years ago, and as we catch ourselves saying all the time, it's still relevant today. Oh, and they're both not very fond of the United States, so try not to get your feelings hurt.
Tú nos dices que debemos sentarnos, pero las ideas solo pueden levantarnos, caminar, recorrer, no rendirse ni retroceder, ver, aprender como esponja absorbe. Nadie sobre todos, faltan todos, suman todos para todos, todo para nosotros. Soñamos en grande que se caiga el imperio, lo gritamos algo, no queda más remedio. Esto no es utopía, es alegre rebeldía del baile de los que sobran de la danza tuya mía. Levantarnos para desollevar. Ni América Latina se suba. Con barro, con casco, con lápiz a patear el fiasco. Provocar un social terremoto en este charco.
Okay, now we'll have a reading by Ellen Abraham. Oh, sorry, Steve Rosas again. And
It's fine.
I'm not here, okay.
This poem was written by Melvin Dixon, a poet and teacher who lived with AIDS during a time when many were silenced. He left these words as kind of a prayer, not just for those who are ill, but for anyone who feels time slipping past. It's about choosing to live while we can and loving while it matters. Heartbeats. The body says, I'm tired. The spirit says, keep going. The blood moves, steady. The eyes blink. The mind remembers. A face, a fight, a field of laughter. The clock is ticking. The tea is steeping. The love is there. Time is not promised. Walk in light while it lasts. Melvin Dixon. And now this next one is an excerpt. It's by Tori Dent. Lived with HIV and wrote about the body, the spirit, and everything in between. Even as her body weakened, her poetry remained strong. And then these lines remind us that even through pain, the human spirit can take a fight. From Black Milk. The body knows pain, but the soul knows flight. There is no map, but the heart keeps time, beating on beyond the breach. Tori Dent.
During this time, we're going to share 15 seconds of silence. As we relax into the silence, I invite you to think about who and what you're grateful for. I close with these words from Meister Eckhart. If the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. We now have our speaker, who is Michael Timcisko. Michael informs me that you all know who he is, and so I do not have to introduce him.
Thank you, Arana. Thank you for allowing me to come up here this afternoon or this morning and speak about one of my favorite things in the world, and that's the Panhandle AIDS Support Organization, also known as PASO. Also, before I even get started, I have to say, joys and concerns this morning, I really had a joy this morning, and I was going to get up and say something about it, but he beat me to it. And that's Wes Phillips. Oh my God, Wes Phillips is back. I've been a member here at the Unitarian Fellowship since 2011, and Wes Phillips was one of the first people that I met. And I've always enjoyed him getting up and speaking about his joys, because that's apparently all he experiences in his life. So, thank you, Mr. Rosas, for your superhero story. Chase, I think our case managers need to use that with our newly infected clients, because wow, what an impactful story that is. And young superheroes are, especially one individual, is what really changed the course of the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and that was Ryan White. And just so you're aware, Ryan White funding is an organization like PASO's primary funding source, okay? Ryan White was a teenager who was infected through a blood transfusion, who testified before Congress, who pushed Congress forward in approving the the Ryan White Emergency Care Act. And that was a whole change in the epidemic. That's when we actually had some funding to take care of people, to get them to the doctor, to get them on medication that was horrible at the time. And just so you know, the Emergency Care Act was signed and authorized on August 18th, 1990 by George H. Bush. And with that act came a lot of recommendations, treatment recommendations, and compliance with those treatment recommendations. And it was to make people comfortable, hopefully extend their lives. But at that time, no one was living. Most people from the time of diagnosis to their death was on average about 2 years, okay? And as I said, the medicine that we had available really was more like poison. And I know chemotherapy is kind of like that too, but this poison did not contribute to saving any lives, okay? Also, there was other funding that was passed very shortly after that, and that was HOPWA funding, which was housing opportunities for people with AIDS. And that funding came about because, to be quite honest, we had people all over the United States dying in the streets because their landlords would throw them out as soon as they found out how sick they were and what they were sick with. You know, so yeah, in the United States, people dying in the street. And that also came after Ryan White brought about the Ryan White funding in this country. So I'm going to talk a little bit about PASO. I'm going to interject a few notes that I have. This is basically the history of PASO in a nutshell. And actually, before I begin that, I do want to say that it was an honor and a privilege for me to serve as PASO's executive director for 23 years. Thank you. Hard to step away, but I'm glad I have. It was a lot of work. It was really hard, and it was worth everything. In May of 1987, a steering committee here in Amarillo met to discuss the need for a community-based organization addressing the issues surrounding the disease AIDS. And just so you're aware, most AIDS service organizations began forming in 1987 and 1988, okay? All across the country. And during that time, between like 87 and I think maybe 1990, over 2,500 AIDS service organizations popped up across the country. Because AIDS was, of course, everywhere in the country, in every town, in every city, in every state, just like every country in the world. Anyway, this group of concerned individuals were primarily in the healthcare industry or professions, and they identified many needs and gaps in our healthcare services here in Amarillo. Anyway, in June of that year, a board of directors was created, and they began to write bylaws and articles of incorporation, and PASO was incorporated, in August of 1987. And it received startup funding from the Levi Strauss Foundation that actually at the time had a plant here in Amarillo. And Levi Strauss has always been a supporter of AIDS causes. And they were supportive in helping to create PASO. It began as an all-volunteer organization. PASO opened its first doors in April of 1988 in a 12 by 12 room at the Pickens, let me see here, I'm losing my place, the Pickens Center, which was part of the Northwest Texas Hospital District at the time. During that time, there was a support group meeting held every week, and a speakers bureau was created to provide free public education. But let me tell you what that support group actually was. It was a funeral planning group. Okay? It was a funeral planning group. Sadness. These were really, really, really horrible years. In June of 1988, just a few months, that office was outgrown and it moved to 4101 West 34th. It had a group meeting room, again, a funeral planning space, and 2 offices. At that time, PASO had 1 paid employee, and it was an executive director. Her name was Donna Page. There was a ribbon cutting ceremony, and there was great media attention, and PASO became visible in this community. Okay, I did not live here then, so I lived in Austin at the time, and learning this information about PASO while I was in Austin was wonderful news for me, because I had a friend who called me, I think in like 1986, and said, Michael, I've got the big A, and we don't have any information here. Can you send me anything? And so I did gather what material I could find through the Texas Department of Health and sent it to him. And he actually did initially help PASO when they moved to a different location and setting up all their computer systems before he, of course, died. In July of '88, also, the executive director submitted an application for a minority grant from the Texas Department of Health in 1988, and funding for that was received in January '89. That began the fiscal and programmatic growth of the agency. Also in '89, PASO received grant funds for case management from TDH. And also that year, the United Way and the Harrington Foundation funded PASO's volunteer/buddy program, okay? And what that was, again, all volunteers. These were individuals that agreed and wanted to be a buddy to someone who had HIV. And that entailed maybe going and cleaning their house, maybe going and grocery shopping for them, perhaps taking them to a doctor's appointment. It was a wonderful program, and all AIDS service organizations had such programs. That program was actually spearheaded and created by Dr. Travis McBride, which I know many of you know, and his wife, Catherine. They had a son that died of AIDS, and so they were, of course, drastically impacted by the disease. And Travis and his wife were always huge supporters of PASO. Travis was certainly, once I arrived in Amarillo and met him, certainly became a mentor to me, an incredibly important mentor to me. In 1990, PASO had 38 clients. Okay. By the end of that year, because PASO was now an organization and people could come to that organization for help, there were 112 clients, just in that period of 12 months. So PASO then, of course, had to move again to a larger facility on 9th and Adams in February of 1991. After a few years, PASO once again outgrew that office space and moved to a larger facility in June of '95, located at 8th and Monroe. And, it's just so funny how things intersect. That building was the old Planned Parenthood clinic here in Amarillo. okay? And then, and just so you know, I did work at Planned Parenthood of Amarillo in the Texas Panhandle for about 5 years. I was their director of prevention services, which was HIV counseling and testing. And I kind of oversaw that program because at the time we had 25 clinics, I think, throughout the Texas Panhandle where HIV counseling and testing was offered, okay? Which, what a great thing, you know, that Planned Parenthood did that for us. Well, in 2001, PASO moved again to a property that Planned Parenthood owned, okay, right next door to it, okay? And at that time, PASO had 152 clients that it was serving. I came to the agency, I came to PASO in April of 2002. And that was the caseload that I inherited and that we were taking care of. But I also need to stress that in 1998, there was a huge investigation because there had been mismanagement and embezzlement at the agency, which was prevalent at AIDS service organizations across the country because taking care, these new organizations just didn't have the checks and balances that they needed. And so the executive director at the time, I'm not even going to say her name, was convicted of embezzlement and ended up paying PASO restitution for about 10 years. And we got about $20,000 back of the $80,000 that we were operating in the hole whenever I came on. We had no money, okay, at all. We had our grant funds, but we were in the hole, $80,000. We did, after, kind of building up the board and building up the staff, because we were at that point down to 2 staff members and 3 board members. So, I mean, we were barely an organization at all. But after about a couple of years, with some hard work, we got that debt settled. We got it taken care of. We had some great contributions from the community helping us wipe out that debt. It was so good at a fundraiser, a Friends of PASO fundraiser, where I was able to announce that PASO was now operating in the black and that we were no longer operating in the red. And that really helped, just being able to say that, because people stopped giving us money. They stopped donating because they just felt like they were donating to a black hole, and they kind of were, you know? But we turned it around. We had a great board of directors. Our staff was being built up, and our reputation was drastically improved. And we continued to grow. We took a different approach. We didn't just start. We didn't just apply or provide case management. Well, I mean, we of course provided people access to doctors and laboratory testing and mental health care and oral health care and transportation and access to HIV medications and housing, emergency housing, long-term housing. We were a really great community-based organization providing lots and lots of services to a lot of people. In 2008, though, I was approached by the director of the Texas-Oklahoma AIDS Education and Training Center, and PASO was asked to become a part of this national education program, okay? Because we didn't really have any ongoing professional education. And our purpose was to educate physicians, nurses, dentists, pharmacists, and social workers on how to manage and treat HIV, okay? Because, and this is what really I wanted out of this program, no one should have to go, and I've said this time and time again, no one should in Amarillo should have to go to Dallas or Houston or Chicago or Miami to receive quality HIV treatment, okay? So, and we excelled at that. We were this tiny little organization in Amarillo, Texas, okay? And we provided education to maybe 200 people a year. Fabulous. Well, then I got approached by, I can't remember her name, but Texas Tech Health Science Center. And she called me. Who was that woman doctor? Oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten her name. Anyway, she said, Michael, we all need HIV education, but we can't get away from our offices. We really need to have like online education, okay? So I kind of, through my contacts, got hooked up with Texas Tech Health Science Center in Lubbock, and they have a health.edu program. And they began coming to our symposiums and different education programs, and they filmed our speakers, and they filmed those programs. And we went from, and they put them online for us, and they accredited them, and they were free. And you got CEs if you needed them, you know, if you were a nurse or, anyway. Our numbers went up to almost 1,800 people in 2 years. We were teaching more people through our online programming than Baylor School of Medicine in Houston, UT Southwestern in Dallas, OU in Oklahoma, okay? And they had good numbers, but we surpassed them. And the great thing is what PASO did and our efforts, it spurred all these other entities, health science centers, universities, to go with more online education. And of course, that's where the bulk of our training really occurs, even still today. And we were really lucky. We had an incredible physician by the name of Arlene Hudson, who was certainly an HIV specialist, who started treating HIV in the early days in Los Angeles and ended up here in Amarillo, and was an incredible physician, saved countless lives, and was our principal educator, and she was fabulous. So, good things happen. In January of 2011, a PASO supporter by the name, I used to not be able to say it, but now she's gone, of Ann Crouch, donated a building to PASO, and that is our current home. We don't pay rent anymore. We've upgraded the building. We had new roof, new air conditioning, did handicapped access things, and it allowed us to continue to grow, and we did. So just over, and I'm almost done. I do want to let you know that we have had so much support over the years. And we, of course, have received funding from the Texas Department of State Health Services, formerly TDH, Lubbock Regional Mental Retardation Center, but we don't really say that anymore. They became Star Care Specialty Health System. And we got our money, our Ryan White money, our state services money, from them. We got early intervention funds. We received prevention services monies. And of course, I mentioned HOPWA earlier. We've also received grant funding, significant funding over the years, but most of this has been like one-time big requests for something. And that's the Hoffman Foundation, of course, the Amarillo Area Foundation, the Sybil B. Harrington Living Trust, Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, okay, invitation-only grant. And so far, we've been receiving it for many, many years. Did we get it again this year? Did we get our check? Okay, well, maybe we didn't. Okay. You know, things are really changing. Citibank, the Excel Energy Foundation, FEMA for years, but you know, our government right now and all of our frozen contracts, our FEMA money was frozen. Our HOPWA money, I hear, is changing and will probably be reduced. And unfortunately, the funding that we received from the AIDS Education and Training Center program is from what I understand, also gone. Okay? So, things are changing. the Bivens Foundation, the Payne Foundation, the Amarillo Business Foundation, the Harrington Cancer Center Foundation. And of course, we continue to receive generous support from people like you. So, do you have any questions? I don't really have much more to say. 40 million people are living with AIDS today, or HIV. 43 million have died of AIDS since the beginning of the epidemic.
What's your client load now?
Whenever I left at the end of March, I believe that PASO had 359 clients. 372 now. So that's just in a matter of months, okay? And we have clients that do come and go. You know, they'll move to a different city, but we always have 2 people to take their place, you know. Our numbers have never, ever gone down, so.
What about young people?
We started seeing a trend of people under the age of 26, so we're gonna say 14 to 26. We started seeing increases in infection rates in those young people, probably around 2010, 2011. And of course, you know, we all get older, so these young people are the ones that we're taking care of now, you know.
It's expected that there will be some millions of people that will lose health care due to Medicaid cuts.
Oh, yes.
Is PASO expecting an increase in clients because they're losing options for health care?
Oh, I would imagine so. Certainly. We have a lot of clients that are currently on Medicaid. Okay, and here's the thing with PASO: we have to be a payer of last resort. So if we can find another pay source for someone to receive their medical care, we do. Okay, we come in if we can't find any other pay source for someone and pay for those things. Okay, medical treatment. We also, and it's been very beneficial for us. In 2018, we opened what's called a 340B pharmacy program, okay? And it allows us to buy drugs at a very reduced, discounted rate, but we're reimbursed at a higher rate than what we're paying. So that's money, but we have to use that money for program services. So any cuts that we see, you know, that's what this 340B income for our agency, and most AIDS service agencies are doing this now because we were allowed to by the feds starting in, I think, 2015. It just kind of seemed scary to me, and so I didn't want to do it for a while until I saw some success. And so we didn't start one until 2018. But those funds are to help plug those holes that we see with funding cuts. Okay, it's not done. Those cuts are not done, and they're coming. They're coming.
Have the medications improved?
Absolutely. Thank you. I should have mentioned that earlier. Gosh, in 1995, the end of 95, that was the advent of antiretroviral drugs, ARVs. That was in the superhero story. Those were life-saving medications that came out. Okay, they were really tough to take. You were having to take 30 pills a day, okay? And just so you know, we're now at like 1 pill a day or a shot every couple of months or a shot every 6 months. So the medications have come a long way. But in 1996, because of those incredible drugs, the death rate in the United States dropped 50%, okay? Life-saving medications, and they've just gotten better and better and better. But we had lots of scientists creating them, and guess what? Don't have a lot of those scientists anymore. Don't have a lot of those studies anymore. It's a changing landscape. You know, healthcare, health services, insurance coverage. It's scary.
Still fine for rich people.
I beg your pardon?
It's still fine for wealthy people.
Well, it always has been, always will be. Always will be.
It's not.
You know, some medications, I'm going to say on average, what, $2,000 a month? Okay, 3, depending upon maybe what you're taking. Okay? So medication is very expensive, very, very expensive. Medical care is expensive, but medication, of course, has always been expensive.
You mentioned through your pharmacy program, you're able to obtain a funding source. So the more people that can come to you and get their medication through PASO's pharmacy program, the better off PASO will be. Is that correct?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. But we can't, you know what? We can't pay for uninsured people. That's one of the things with that program. As long as you have insurance, as long as you have Medicare, we can work with you. Okay, we didn't carve out Medicaid. We could have done that, but that's a whole different ball game, and that still scared me, and so we didn't do it. Now, in the future, maybe that might happen. I don't know. I personally wouldn't recommend it because Medicaid is under fire right now also, so too scary.
Not so much a question, but a comment. My aunt was diagnosed in '87, and that's when I learned about it. That's when I first heard about it, along with most of us around that time. And I did my school science fair that year on HIV, and I remember our family physician attended because he was the parent of a student, a friend of mine also in school, and he spent quite some time at my science fair exhibit learning. And because he himself didn't know very much about it either, and it's amazing how far we've come since then.
It is. We have come a long way. It's been over a 40-year journey, though, and we're still on that journey. So, Janda.
I'm curious about the survival rate. We know it was a death sentence originally, and what is it now?
Oh, it truly is a chronic disease today and is treated as such. That's not to say that people still don't die of AIDS, because they do. And it's usually because they became aware of their health status far too late and were far too sick to get better. And again, we have life-saving medications, but you have to be compliant with them, okay? If you want to let those life-saving meds do their job, okay? But we do still have people that do die of AIDS in the United States, certainly throughout the world, because the world doesn't have all that we have here in the United States. And PEPFAR, I believe that is gone now. Trump killed that. And that was a program where HIV medications were distributed really mainly in Africa, but also worldwide in HIV hotspots to prevent infections. And George W. Bush started that. He and his cabinet determined that AIDS in Africa especially was a national security threat because everybody was dying. It was going to become a nation of children and tribes. So he stepped in, and technically, George W. Bush saved Africa. So, thank you very much. It's good to see everybody. It's good to be back.
Now is the time for giving and receiving. Oops, hold on. Almost. May we give this offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and hope. Okay, I assume you can read. Essential Exclamations Philosophy Discussion Group is today at 3:30, and the topic is complexity theory. And these are our events. The Social Justice Committee every day at 2. Adult Religious Education is at 10. Book Club is the 4th Tuesday of every month. The Beyond Belief Secular AA Recovery Group is every Saturday at 6. We just talked about Essential Exclamation. Knowledge Seekers meets here every Sunday at 10. And the Nothing But Buddhist group is Monday at 7:30 on Zoom. Are there any other announcements?
I believe there's going to be a film today. Is the film today? Yes. Yeah, I think you need to announce that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mentioned it earlier during the
Here you go. Here you go. Here's this.
Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, I had mentioned it earlier during the Joys and Concerns, but today, 12:30, and this is just, I've been doing film screenings like these at a couple different community centers and churches across a couple of different states. Going to be doing a documentary film. It is local to the area, kind of. It's from students, Ukrainian students in Lubbock, Texas Tech University. It's called Voices of Ukraine. Yeah, it's going to be over the effect of the war on Ukraine on people in our area, our communities. And then I also have a remembrance of life for my friend who was unfortunately killed in Ukraine last year. If you can make it, definitely would love to have you. Thank you. Oh, time is 12:30 today, so yeah, in 30 minutes.
And also the children's RE class, they're doing a kids camp next Saturday, the 26th. I don't have any of the details on the projects or what they'll be doing on that Saturday. I'll have more details next week, but you can also keep an eye on the newsletter.
Okay, thank you. Next week, Dr. Brian Ingracia is doing the rise of Christian nationalism in the U.S. On the 27th, Dr. Robert Fulton is the importance of humanities in our society. And on August 3rd, Dr. Chuck Fisher, and we never know what he's going to talk about, but it's always interesting. Okay. So we are now going to extinguish the chalice and, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Martin Luther King, Jr. And the lamps are different, but the light is the same. Rumi. Please stand for our closing song.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hands, give life shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
May the fellowship of this hour touch and move our lives until we come again together.